If you're spending money on any type of online advertising, Facebook ads or Meta ads, YouTube ads, Google search, any kind, right? You need to watch this video. I'm going to show you how to travel hack your way with the best 3 credit cards you have to have as a media buyer, as a brand owner, anyone spending more than a couple $1,000s per month on advertising online. You absolutely need to watch this video. So I've traveled to 43 countries now as the time I'm filming this video. Just finished an epic trip, my 43rd country in Uganda, trekking with the gorillas, which was sick. And I'm here to tell you about how you can more or less travel around the world, flying in business and first class and paying less than economy. And it's pretty gangster. Like, this has completely changed our experience as far as the ability to travel and the cost that comes with it. Right? Sometimes I will spend a little bit more than I would have spent on economy just because it gets me access to products like Emirates or British Airways, depending on the route we're flying. But yeah, this is a game changer for us. Like, we do well financially, but we're able to live like well beyond our means travel wise because because we know how to arbitrage not just the earning of points, but then also the use of points, right? So if you're doing things correctly and you find a sweet deal, like I've seen multipliers where like you 10x the value of the points you earn. So that's why you shouldn't sleep on credit card points. If you're spending even a couple $1,000s per month and you make a ton of money, it doesn't matter. You need to be leveraging this. So the first card that you need to look at, this is brand new as of about 2 months ago, is a Chase Sapphire business card. This is a game-changing card. I think it came out mid-June, late June. And this, sure, there's like a sweet sign-up bonus. That's cool, right? But if you're the person listening to this video that spends a significant amount of money on Facebook ads or any kind of online ads, this is all that matters. You get a 3x on the earnings, uncapped, okay? The second card you want to have is going to be their American Express Business Gold card, okay? This used to be my go-to card, and I still use it for a lot of spend, but the downside is that there's a cap. So 4x, there should be a 4x multiplier on ad spend. So this, it's not shown here, but it exists. There is a 4x on up to $150,000 in ad spend per year. You will get, so let's say you spend 150K in the first month of the year on Facebook ads, you'll get 600,000 points. But then it drops to 1x earnings. So if you spend $1 million the rest of the year, you earn 1 million points. Not a terrible deal if you know how to use points correctly. But a lot of times, especially with the economy of points arbitrage, the deals have been a little bit harder to find. But still, like, there's still a good arbitrage there. There's still a good value there. Okay. Actually, I'd see what they choose. So we want a business goal. That's why we're not seeing it. So here's the second card I would recommend that you absolutely should get. Well, you could change colors now. Is the American Express Business Gold card. Okay. This used to be my number one go-to, but that really changed when Chase dropped the bomb 3 months ago and announced that they would have uncapped earning. I hope that lasts on the Chase Sapphire Business Reserve. Like, that is a huge hack, okay, for multiple reasons we'll talk about. But this used to be why I would push so heavy for the Amex Business Gold card because, well, one, you earn 4x on 2 eligible categories. One of those is ad spend. So if you are a big spender or even you spend throughout the year, you're going to probably max out that 150K cap. That's the downside, is there is a cap to it. So the 4x stops 4xing once you pass $150,000 for the year in ad spend, and it resets every calendar year. So that means once you spend if you spend 200K in ad spend in whatever time period in 12 months, your first 150K earns you 600,000 points, and then the other 50,000 in ad spend gets you 50,000 points. If you know how to use points correctly, it's not the end of the world, especially if you have a crazy volume to spend, like you're spending $500,000 a month or more, then you could still utilize the points well. But I mean, if you could earn it a 4x, well, really with the Chase, if you earn it a 3x, and then you can multiply the value by 3x on the arbitrage of the use and transfer of the points, you're getting like potentially a 10x value arbitrage from the point, the dollar spent on ad spend and the point earned to the value of whatever you pay for with flights or hotels. Okay. So it's gangster. Okay. But I would still recommend this card, and we'll talk about why. But basically, until about June, I would use this. I had another Chase card that had a similar feature, like arbitrage structure. I think it was a Chase Sapphire Preferred or Ink Unlimited. I can't remember which one. I have both. But one of those gave you like a 3x or 4x on the first under 50K. So it basically like it matched the Amex offer. We'd max that out. We'd max out the Amex. And then we balance between what I'm going to show you next, some cash back, and we rotate back in to make sure we have a supply of points at all time. This is the third. So I've been using the Spark Miles, which is pretty badass in a sense because you can get unlimited 2x. So 2x uncapped, right? Has a lot of transfer partners too. It doesn't have any super exclusive that you couldn't get access to transferring your points to. Like if you have Amex and Chase, the Spark is basically just an earning multiplier. It's not a transfer partner exclusive, right? So they don't have access to like one airline that the other two don't. Okay. Now, between Chase and Amex, there are some differences which we're going to talk about on the arbitrage of the transfer and use of points. Now, looking at this, like I've actually never compared these, but this one comes with a $395 fee, and it has a higher multiplier of 10x versus 5x on hotels. So there are some bonuses there, but we're just talking ad spend. We're keeping it very simple. If you spend money on ads, this is what this video is for you. Okay, so this is the third card you want to have in your wallet. But it depends. You could probably get away with just these two, to be honest, if you have good credit limits. But you may, like right now, I think we're around 180 to 100K in a credit limit for the Chase card. So we constantly need to be pouring water onto the fire. And the problem is like we get paid every 1 to 2 to 3, sometimes 4 weeks. So it can create a little bit of a cash crunch depending how we're scaling. That's the beauty of the Amex that Chase doesn't have, is it's a charge card. So you can get more or less like a $500,000 limit, $700,000 limit. So it gives you more flexibility in load balancing your spend, right? Whereas Chase, the credit limit is going to be much lower, which means you can't spend $1 million in like 3 weeks unless you already have the cash, but it's going to definitely impact your cash flow, right? So just keep this in mind, okay? These are your pros and cons. Everything, no card is perfect. That's why you need all of these. So I will, and for purchases, like we have subscription fees, services we need to pay for, right? If I'm allowed to pay with a credit card for something like, it's like a couple $1,000, like we have a call center, we outsource, it's a little bit less than 10K a month. And we used this card to pay for that, right? So I'll earn like 20,000 points for that. And then I can even run my payroll on credit card, depending how I pay it, or other service fees. So I'll probably spend, I don't know, in a month, like $30,000 to $50,000 on this card, which gives me 60 to 100,000 points, right? That I can, and also each one has their own travel portal. You can use the points, like you use Cap One points in their travel portal. You can use Amex points in their travel portal. You can use Chase points in their travel portal. I find in that reverse order is the value arbitrage if you don't transfer out, which we could do another video on, right? Now, let's talk about something really important. Don't worry about Capital One. That's just your backstop, okay? They have access more or less to similar partners, right? Now, here's where it gets interesting. So depending on where you live and or where you're trying to travel to or through, this is where it gets unique. So Amex gives you a lot of flexibility. So here's the overlap, right? This is from ChatGPT, so this should be correct. I've had ChatGPT lie to me recently and cost me some money. But you want to look at this. So here's overlap. So both Chase and Amex will actually allow you to transfer their points to all of these rewards programs. Okay. So pretty damn good. Like I would say 50% of what we book is through this list here. And then here's where it separates a little bit. So Amex, you have less earning potential now that Chase has their new card, and you get access to more transfer partners. Now, in reality, like I live in Colombia, I travel a lot to the US, and then I fly at least a few times a year to Asia or Europe or the Middle East. So This is one I use a ton. I've used this recently on our last trip to Africa and the Middle East. Hilton is a pretty good use of points for hotels, but I'm going to tell you about what changed a little bit with Chase bringing out their new card. Aeromex, I've used a few times, but usually the arbitrage is not very good. But then Life Miles, I found some pretty good deals with. Okay, so Life Miles, Delta, usually not good deals, but it's the only way to book Delta with these credit card points, again, unless you have a Delta card. But looking at this, Avianca is a good arbitrage, right? Qantas is a awesome arbitrage, awesome use of points with the Amex, and then Hilton would be like the third best, depending on how you travel, right? But Chase is gangster because let me tell you, not only because of the 3x unlimited earning multiplier, but you can actually now transfer to United. United often does not give good deals on the point cost for flights. Rarely do they. Rarely do they give good arbitrage or good cost on the like in points for the flight. Usually it's not a great deal unless you're flying international, like to Europe or to Asia from the US. But still, not having to pay cash with a multiplier on the front end with a 3x with the Chase card is still a totally badass deal. Like I said, I live in Colombia, and one of the main flights is going to be with either American, which is hard to get to or hard to get access to, and then United if we don't use Avianca, because Avianca is the worst, right? But United flies through Houston, and then obviously Houston goes anywhere, or we could fly through, I think, Miami, or I can't remember the other hubs, right? But it's pretty badass. So having unlimited 3x earnings and then access to point inventory with United is great. But really, this is the hotel arbitrage that makes it worth it. Because if you have, let's say, the same tier of hotels, I think it's like JW Marriott is equal more or less to Grand Hyatt. I may be wrong about that. It may be one below, but let's assume they're equal, right? And here's the difference. It will cost you about 100,000 points, depending on the city and time of year, to book JW Marriott per night, okay? And then with Hyatt, that same tier of hotel will cost you 30,000 points or 35,000 points. So that's where the 3x arbitrage earning and then the crazy discounted point cost really comes into play. Like, this is a game changer. So this is why I'm so bullish on Chase. But remember, the downside is with Chase, you have to have a lot of cash to keep pouring on if you're scaling, if you're putting a lot of ad spend behind it, unless you're getting paid very frequently by your vendors, by the networks, the buyers or brokers you sell to, okay? Or depending on what you're doing. If you're in e-commerce, you could probably float it a little bit easier, right? So those are the main differences. And this is our whole strategy, right? So just to recap that, we go heavy here, depending on our cash position and our payout structures, right? Because of the 3x earnings, we then load up our business gold card, at least early in the year. Platinum card I have just for like status and stuff, but it's really not worth it. And then last but not least, I'll rotate in non-ad spend related bulk expenses on the 2x, just so I have some points sitting there, right? I get something for it, right? By the way, Amex has teased that they will be coming out with some type of update to the Platinum card. I hope they match the Chase Sapphire 3x or 4x, whatever they do. That would be huge. I think they have to, because I don't know, like the portfolio business that they have with media buying, but you're going to see a lot of people shifting their ad spend. Serious media buyers are going to be shifting at least a portion of their ad spend over to Chase away from Amex. Amex has to be feeling this, because that was a firebomb they dropped when they announced that they will give 3x unlimited earnings on points with Chase per ad spend. Like, that is insane. That's unheard of. I've never seen that before. So make sure to take advantage of this. I don't have affiliate links right now for this stuff. I'm just sharing this because I talk about this a lot and I geek out on it. And yeah, thought you'd enjoy this. I might have affiliate links by the time I post this video, but as of right now, I'll probably link back to these cards just through these links you see here. We'll probably update to my affiliate links if I ever stop being lazy and do it. See you next video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments.